And we are officially live. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Owedo Bites, your Stardom post show here at BC WrestlePod. It's been a hot minute, but we're back at it again to bring you the best in Japanese joshi wrestling. And of course, my name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of
The
BC
best in
Wrestling.
wrestling I've seen in a while, if we're talking just talent.
Seriously,
Not
there's
just Joshi, but best in wrestling.
No, 100%. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I watch a lot of wrestling, and this definitely was a highlight, and we're gonna get into all of that. But my name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, and joining me this evening, of course, is my co-host with the mostest. Love him. It's been a hot minute for him too, but I'm happy that he is here. I have Mr. Al Snow.
Happy to be here. I know I don't come on nearly as often, but it's nice to be back and talk some wrestling. It's a nice distraction and a break from the chaos that abounds.
Yes, it is. The real world is crazy out here. So we're here to talk about wrestling. Specifically, we're here to talk about the Stardom Cinderella Tournament finals of the 2026 Cinderella Tournament. So I'm excited. This is going to be a fun show to talk about, and we'll get into it just a little bit. Before we do, though, just to get through the housekeeping and intro bits, I'm going to make this quick so we can talk about all the action that happened during this show. But YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is where you can see us go live at this point pretty much every day of the week, especially during the month of April when things are about to get crazy. But if you're looking for something more self contained, the social medias is where you can find report cards and smaller things like that at BC WrestlePod. We're pretty much on every social media site, so you get to take your pick and then just see what's going on over there. We also have some merchandise, BC WrestlePod shop.fourthwall.com. And then last but certainly not least, we do have a coffee bot that will be popping in ever so often. And yeah, because we pay for a lot of streaming services and stuff like that. So if you're feeling generous, awesome. But we also know that, times are tough out here, so no pressure. You being here is enough. Alrighty. Now I want to get into that. I wanted to get that out of the way because I really want to get into Cinderella Tournament because holy crap, man.
I had to giggle to myself because there's definitely one so we're not on, and I don't think we're going to be part of. But let's jump into the wrestling.
Let's jump into the wrestling. So again, we are covering the Cinderella Tournament finals. So this is the show kind of similar to New Japan, where we have a giant tournament and then we get the finals on the show. But for this one, we got the semifinals and the finals, as well as let's throw everybody in multi-person matches. So let's begin though. So we start off this show with our first Cinderella Tournament semifinal match. We're only going to cover the main card here. So but we kick things off with our first semifinal. As I mentioned, this is, of course, Hanan versus Aya Sakura in the first semifinal match. I really did enjoy this one. Again, for full disclosure, this is my first time covering and watching the Cinderella tournament. Just like most tournaments in Japan, this is to set up a championship match. The winner gets to choose which championship they would like to go after in the Cinderella tournament, which is a lot of fun. And after the last 2 weeks, we finally have our semifinals, and this is the first match. I really didn't like this one. And there's an underlying story we're going to get to when we get to our finals because the whole tournament, we've been seeing these two go at it in terms of just beefing, and they finally met in the finals. But spoiler alert, Hanan does win here. But man, what a way to kick off the show. This was a good, just solid bout, and I don't have no qualms about it.
So I watched all the pre-show and was a little blown away and gassed at this point. But this match was excellent in how it kind of shifted and adapted because she definitely took control with striking, like had Hanan 6 ways of Sunday with just striking. But you got to see Hanan adapt to that in the match.
Mhm.
So it really showcasing some storytelling between them there and created a really strong finish. And this is to me, it was Hanan proving her versatility. And this is where she earns her push later in the night and in the company as a whole.
I have to agree with you there. I think this match definitely kind of set her up for what was going to happen in the finals. But like you said, Jesse, I think this is important for her to kind of not only earn that spot into the final, but finally kind of get that push and be like, all right, let's see what you can do. You definitely got through this one, and now you're on your way to the final. Let's see how that turns out. But no, I 100% enjoyed this match. This definitely was a nice way to open it up. And, well, Hanan wouldn't have to wait too long to see who she would end up facing because right after this, we get into our second semifinal match. This, of course, is Miyu Amasaki versus Rina. So Hanan's actual biological sister. So you're gonna be hearing a lot of that coming up during the finals. But that has been one of the my favorite things that has been happening this whole tournament is the underlying fact that and the history between the two of them, which I'll get into more in depth when we cover the finals. But this is also another solid bout, and yeah, Rita's just Rita's just like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, it was a very decisive win. The match itself, especially compared to the one before, it was much slower. It was definitely there was more intrigue. There was more. It was a more character driven match, which was a nice. It was I'd say a refreshing change of pace from the ones that came before it.
Hmm.
Um, the match itself, it was good. It was enjoyable. It was definitely more function over form and flash, and we were just trying to get the villain to the right place, essentially, to set up that the hero versus the hate faction, which I don't remember what hate stands for.
Hmm. Uh, I'm trying to remember what it is. I'll look it up, but I believe it's I know terrorize is what T stands for. I'm gonna look it back up in a little bit, but I agree with you, Jesse. I feel like this was more, I don't want to say one-sided, but this definitely was just like this is not Rena's first rodeo. In fact, this will be her third time, I believe, if I remember doing my research correctly, when making it to the finals. And so Rena, definitely this was more of a character driven match where yeah, Rena is going to do Rena things and she is going to there's a reason she belongs in hate, and this was a more dominating performance, and poor Miyu Amasaki was at the receiving end of it.
Yeah, I feel like Rena was playing with her towards the end of the match. Like it could have been wrapped up, 3 minutes earlier. I just felt bad for her towards the end.
It's like, ah, dang. Rena definitely playing with her food for sure. But this was really, really entertaining. And now we have the final set, which we'll talk about later. It is the sisters. So we would be seeing Hanan and Rina go up against each other later in the finals. But this is where Stardom's like, okay, we got the tournament aspects out of the way for now. So let's just throw everybody that is on this roster at the show at you. Because next up, Lord have mercy, was the beginning of the multi person matches. So in this particular match, we had the team of Sayuri Kashima, my girl Rina Yamashita, and Itsuki Aoki taking on the team of our favorite idol, Maki Ito, Rian, Kyoko Furusawa, and Kyoko Kotatsu. Now, first of all, the quote unquote heels entrance, I was just like, what in Secret Service is this? Like, I was like, what is happening? They're all dressed up in black and they have the sunglasses. They have a whole carpet. I was just like, what is happening here?
It was definitely a unique entrance, I'd say. I haven't seen one like that in a while.
And then on the flip side, you have Maki Ito coming out to the ring being a whole entire idol as she's singing in her during her entrance too. But I love that Maki is signed with Stardom, and it's really, really fun to see her. I think as far as this match goes, and I'm gonna be saying this a lot, especially between this match and the next couple of ones we have. They're like, we got to throw everyone on the card, but don't expect these matches to go past like 7-8 minutes for these multi-person ones because this one was quick, and so were some of the other ones. Everybody was just running around doing stuff, and then of course, you know, Shuri's team ends up winning. So the Secret Service, if you will, wins. And I was like, I blinked and it was over.
So I did like the fact that Maki Ito kind of was very disruptive on the pace of the match because she connects with the crowd so much, and it definitely clashed with this typical Stardom style, but I think that's why it works so well. Um, I'm a big fan of hers, and she definitely got over better here than when I saw her a few months ago.
Mm.
Because like the crowd was not into it. It was not a great crowd where I went and saw her. She deserved better than that, but she definitely got over here.
She definitely did. And I think she's a great addition to the Stardom roster. And I agree with you. The Maki's character is how it's always been, especially here in Stardom. It disrupts what we're used to seeing, which is really, really fun. Um, poor Maki got the brakes beat off her during this match because they're like, no, go away, bam. So, but
I
yeah,
mean,
I
it's a good
thought
blend because Maki, it's like you make you feel something. You're engaged. You're curious. You know, there's sometimes where you laugh. You don't know why, but and then is it Suri? I think her just she's with how she works. She makes everything feel real, and that's why they're so balanced and blended well in this match.
mhm. This was a really fun, albeit a little on the shorter side of a multi-person match, but again, it would be Shuri, Saki, Rina, and Itsuki who do pick up the victory. So the team on the left-hand side here. And this was another solid bout. And then I could kind of copy and paste a good chunk of this for the next one too. But this, they're like, hey, but instead of 8 people, let's throw 10 people into this ring. So this essentially was a 5-on-5 match. So on the left-hand side, you have the team of Saya Ida, the top gaijin herself, B Priestley, Momo Kogo, Yoria Hime, and of course, the lovable YouTuber turned wrestler Fuwa-chan, taking on the team of Maika, Sayori, Anao, Una Mizumori, Zena, and Ann Kanaya. I was just like, oh Lord, here we go. This is another one where it's just like, you got 10 minutes, figure it out.
Yeah, 1 minute per wrestler. I couldn't keep up, Mikey. I trust you that you got all the names right. I couldn't keep up because it was so fast. Everyone got in, everyone got a showing, which was good. It's a way to keep them relevant without burning them out or burning them through so many matches. It to me it kind of highlighted and showcased the depth of the Stardom roster, and that yeah, we've got 10 people in this match, and not a single person was like, they didn't belong in there.
Agreed. And again, this is again, not to compare the two companies, but since both of them are centralized in Japan, it's the same way that New Japan does this for the G1 or the best of the Super Juniors. On the final show, you have a good chunk of the participants who were participating in the tournament and now are thrown together in multi-person matches. So it's just like, hey, let's close out strong. We know that all of you didn't make it to the finals, but you are corrected, Jesse, where I think this is a good showcase for the depth of the Stardom roster and everything that is going on. Because it definitely showcased where within the span of 10 minutes, everyone got at least a minute to do their thing and everyone kept coming in and out. We love to see that. But it would end up being, again, the team to the left. So Saya, B. Priestley, Momo, Yoria, and Fuwa-chan to win this particular match. But again, more fun stuff, really good things, and very interested to see what comes out of the next couple of weeks, which we'll get into in a little bit, because now all roads lead to Stardom's All Star Grand Queendom, which is like the big show, and I cannot wait. So from here, I would say that this is probably I would say what we've talked about so far would be the first half of the show, technically speaking. Because then for me personally, from this next match onwards, I was just like, oh, we just amped it up. It's like, here's a taste. Now let's give you all the craziness. Because then we kind of take it back a couple of steps as we get a regular tag team match Again, a little bit on the shorter side, but good God, I was holding my ribs the entire time of this match. But we have the team of Suzu Suzuki and Akira Kuragane taking on Sari and Takumi Iroha. God, those kicks. Oh my God. This was just a kick fest.
They've got to be so bruised and battered just after this match. It was just so strike heavy. It was so serious, like especially compared to having the Maki Ito match a few matches before. And I agree with you, Mikey. This definitely felt like the start of the second half because this match felt very different from the rest of what we had seen so far.
There was a lot more intensity between these four women for sure. And again, when you
It
pair
felt
that
like less of a
intensity,
match and more of a fight.
no, exactly is. And at least from what I could find, I really couldn't see if there was anything that I had missed or we had missed going into this. But nah, they were just like, all right, we just gonna hit you hard because we can. Why not?
Yeah, there was a few where I winced away from the screen, going, I don't like seeing that. Like, I feel like I need to call emergency services for some of these.
Oh my goodness. This was insane. And again, from here on out, it just kept ramping it up. And so it ended up being, our team to the right. So Surai and Takumi Iroha do end up picking up the win here. There's a little bit of an interesting thing where Surai goes in and kicks down the opponents as they're exiting. I was like, they got beef, and I'm kind of here for that. I was just
They
like,
were not letting up.
no, no, they weren't. So this was a really fun tag team match. I'm very interested to see where we go as we get closer to April. But all right, strap yourself in because now we get our first of two championship matches of the entire night because we get our future or Stardom Championship match, which is also known as the White Belt here in Stardom. And of course, we have our champion in Miss Hanako taking on the challenger and Rana Yagami. Uh, good God, these girls. First of all, and I mean this respectfully, but Hanako is a very built woman. That is a tall woman right there. I was just like, and then on the other side, I look at Rana and I'm just like, ooh, girl, we got our work cut out for her. But this was a really great back and forth. If the previous match was full of intensity, this definitely mixed that intensity with a lot more. I was very interested to see there was a lot more chain wrestling to all of this in between all the hard hits and the strikes. This was a really good championship match, in my opinion.
Yeah, Rana's technical prowess is just it was incredible to watch. I think I saw her in the last show that we reviewed together, but just her versus how big Hanako is. Like I know you're trying to say it. She's a very built woman. She's just tall, strong, muscular. She's definitely got the size. It evoked that kind of like Bret Hart where it's all technique and technical, and you might be stronger and bigger than me, but you're not going to outmaneuver me. You're not going to out technique me. Versus somebody like the Warrior, and that's not a dig against Hanako because she is much more talented than Warrior. But if we're going like size versus technique, that's a pretty good comparison there.
It is. I got what you mean. So there is no offense there, but no, this was
I didn't say
really.
Giant Gonzalez, so
We love to see it. But again, this was a really good back and forth. And by the end of this, we have a new future of Stardom champion. Rana is able to take down Hanako, and she is able to take the white belt, and she is our new future of Stardom champion. So this was great, and I was just like, awesome. Don't you love it when you actually get to see titles change hands at shows like this? It's a great feeling.
Mikey, let me
What
ask
a
you,
novel idea.
what does that mean? Mikey, let me ask you your opinion because you've been watching this a lot longer than I have. They're both still very young in their careers, but do you kind of see this as a passing of the torch type moment?
I think so, especially since Hanako has had this belt for quite some time and she's been racking up a really good title reign. But I do appreciate it. And I do think at least the through line for this whole entire match, from my understanding, because I did watch this with Japanese commentary, And I am not proficient in Japanese. I know a little bit, but not enough to be like, oh, I know what they're saying. But I do know, from what I could see, the through line of this was your typical trope of David versus Goliath. You have Rana, who is of the smaller frame, and then Hanako is this big Amazon of a woman. And so the technical prowess of Rana definitely came into play because she needed to pull every trick out of the book to at least get Hanako to bend the knees, so to speak. So I also do think this was a passing of the torch. I'm interested to see where we go next with Rana and what's next for Hanako as well, to see where both of them go as we get closer to the spring show for All Star Grand Queendom.
That's the big one.
Just tell me about it. And yeah, I'm gonna wait until the end because so far we only have one match made, but there's a lot of stakes to it to kind of get the story that's been going on for the winter leading into it. But really solid championship match. And then we get into another really fun match here, which is it's a three-way for 4-on-4-on-4 match. So there is 12 women in this. This is a really fun, really quick triple threat with tag teams. So here we go. So first team, which is on the left, you have the team of Ami Sore, Lady C, Tomoka Inaba, and Hina. Then in the middle, you have Starlight Kid, Azumi, Meisera, and Tabata. And then, of course, we have our final team on the right, which is the Hate Girls, which is the team of Natsuka Tora, Ruika, Az- Azusa Inaba, and of course, our favorite clown, Miss Fukigen Death. uh this was a lot of fun. I was just like, more faction on faction warfare. And
Yeah,
again, this
that's
is
what this
another.
was. It was chaos, and it was used to highlight the factions. I was very, very happy to see Azumi and Starlight Kid because they're my favorites from what I've watched so far. But this was nuts with how fast it was.
Seriously, it was just, hey, y'all got like 9 minutes, so let's get everybody to do some quick stuff. But again, as soon as that bell rang, everybody was just bam, in and out, just doing all this. I
It made,
did have to pause for a little bit because I'm like, I need a break because I'm trying to keep track of who's doing what.
yeah, that 90 they made 9 minutes feel like 90 seconds.
For reals. Oh my goodness, this was insane. And again, this was a lot of fun too. But it would be Starlight Kid, Azumi, May, and Tabitha who would pick up the victory here.
I was very happy with that because I never know because I don't watch enough of this like week to week to know the storyline threads and who's. I guess for me, Stardom's a lot less predictable as to who's going to win than the other promotions I've watched because they're very formulaic, if you will. And this one, it's not. At least it hasn't become that for me yet.
Absolutely not. So again, this was the showcase for factions. It would be our team in the middle that would pick up the victory here. And then from here, we move into our second championship match of the evening, which I feel like I could actually talk a lot a bit more now too. Well, I mean, I could still talk about Stardom, but this was the CMLL Japan Women's title. So you might be wondering to yourself, this is Stardom. Why are they fighting for a CMLL title? Well, I'm glad you asked, random person on the internet. So because CMLL has been around for 93 years at this point, they have been in the wrestling world for a very, very long time. CMLL has two different types of championships. They have their CMLL titles, which is like your very standard company championships. But prior to becoming like an official organization of CMLL, the other half of their championships also include the Mexican National Championships, which was there before CMLL created the CMLL Championships. So if you count both, there's about 32 titles. Between the two categories, so CMLL has lots of championships, and one of these is the CMLL Japan Women's title, which was created because of the ongoing partnership between CMLL and New Japan, as CMLL would be sending talent over to learn that strong style, and New Japan would send people to learn the lucha libre style, depending on whether they were going to be more heel or face, if they're going to be more high flying or Yave style, as we call it, or power based wrestling. It's great. And so this title goes between CMLL and Japan. So you can see a Stardom girl hold it or a CMLL girl hold it. And that's exactly what we got. So we got Hazuki, who is the current champion going into this match, taking on CMLL's India. I always mess this up. Sweeks. I'm so sorry to my Native American folks, but I always mess up the last name. Anywho,
Isn't
but
it
India,
Sue?
Sue. There you go, Sue. I don't know. My brain
Yeah,
is not.
SIOUX. It's this. It's the yeah Sue.
Yeah. So Hazuki versus India Sue. Now, India is a very interesting character in the sense of CMLL. She's been doing really well. She's been on the shows, especially if on the Friday shows, the Viernes Espectacular. But in the last year, CMLL has really pushed her. She not only is she well by the end of this, she becomes a three belt champion. Move over Mercedes Monet. Um no, but
Way over. Way over.
we'll talk afterwards because I was like, she's down to two belts now, so it's crazy out here. But India not only is the champion in CMLL, but she is also the Universal Champion, which is a special tournamented championship that she had to beat 16 other women for. And so now she's hoping to get this title back to the CMLL. This was a really fun match. Again, a lot on the shorter side as well, but Hazuki and India definitely worked very well. And it's really fun watching the CMLL women kind of come into stardom, and they are here for a little bit learning the strong style of Japanese wrestling, and it was just really fun. I'm like, India, I love you so much. And Hazuki, you look great too. I really enjoyed this one. I think this was a solid bout.
Um, while I enjoyed it, and I did enjoy it, don't get me wrong there. The ending was abrupt for me, and I would have liked it to go longer, but that's just my personal taste. That to me is not a bad thing. That just means I was enjoying the match and wanted to see more of it. I do like having this kind of wrestling on the Stardom show because I'm looking at it from like a global perspective. Is if you have diehard CMLL people going, hey, there's a CMLL match on Stardom, maybe I should watch that, and then they're getting introduced to Joshi style wrestling, getting interested in that, and you get the inverse from the Joshi fans who are watching this going, oh, that's Lucha Libre style, I kind of enjoy it, let me go watch that. If we get cross pollination and more fans of different styles of wrestling than just what's mainly presented to us, that's a good thing.
It definitely is. And I think that what also helps too is because of the continued working relationship between a lot of these. Well, let's be honest. So within the last year and a half, it has been a very fun working relationship between Stardom and CMLL and New Japan and then AEW and Ring of Honor. They're always sending stars all over the place, especially CMLL and New Japan and Stardom. The two Japanese companies sending folks over to Mexico is a lot of fun for sure. And then in return, we get to see a lot of our Mexico stars pop up in New Japan in certain events, like, for example, the Best of the Super Juniors tournament, which is like your cruiserweights for the New Japan men's roster, is happening very, very soon in May. And they've been announcing which, people are competing in the tournament. And so they announced last night that CMLL's Valiente Jr. is coming on over to Japan for that. So it's always a lot of fun. And I mean, in regards to India, she's heading back to Mexico as the new CMLL Japan Women's Champ too. So that's a lot of fun. But I agree with you, Jesse. More cross pollination means more eyes on talent.
Hey, another title change.
Who knew? We got more than one.
Because titles are relevant. Even international titles are relevant.
Ah, man. Take notes. Other companies take notes is all I'll say. But shout
All
out
of
to
you, every one of you, take notes.
for
Titles
reals.
are not props. Looking at you, AEW and ROH.
Lord help us. We're gonna talk. Lord help us. Oh man. Alrighty. I will say though, they've gotten better with it because at least at Revolution we had titles change. But that's for tomorrow's show for AEW folks. Alrighty. So within this show, so I got done with this and I was just like, okay, I got the other half to watch. And then I looked at the other half and I was just like, my God, why is this like 90 minutes? What is about to happen? Well, first and foremost, though, after this match was over, the crowd in Stardom got an actual break. I was like, oh, damn. I was just like, go up and go to the bathroom, go do some stuff. We got commercials. I was like, they have idol cards for the Stardom girls. I was just like, how do we get some of those? I was just like, those look cool. I was like, gosh darn it. But I had to fast forward a little bit. I was like, okay, this is like 20 minutes of filler, people going to the bathroom and we're coming back. And then I was like, damn, we still got like 80 minutes. Let's see how this is going to go. Jesse, oh my God. Holy hell, this match.
Yeah, I was definitely not prepared for it going in, but
Jesus.
happily blown away by it.
I agree. So to kind of set this up and then we'll talk about it. So this is the 2026 Cinderella Tournament Finals. This is Hanan versus Rina. These are actual sisters, and I love that they played this story going into this final where their history is Hanan and Rina were part of the same faction. Rina would jump ship and betray her sister to join Hate. They've been at odds with each other in terms of ideology, but also the story that has also been told is that Rina has always ended up coming out on top over her sister Hanan anytime they've interacted with each other. And Hanan's story has been that she would always get close, but she could never get one over her sister, as Rina was just slightly a bit better and would pick up the victory over her. And my God, this was truly a fight, and this definitely
It
was.
wasn't always because Rena was better. Sometimes Rena had better resources, as well. I'll say, keep it,
I
keep it
mean,
down the middle there.
which is fair, which we'll talk, which we can. And Rena is part of Hate, so she has her methods as well, as we saw in this match with Hanan and Rena at one point getting thrown into chairs in the audience. I'm like, good God.
Yeah.
So this match was really fun in the sense that it definitely felt like a match of two tales. Like the first half was them kind of just, it felt more like a sister fight where it's just like Rena just kind of being a complete turd to Hanan and Hanan just like getting beat up for it. And then it started to shift because then Hanan started fighting back. Then the momentum started to shift. Then we got that last like 10 minutes where we got false finishes, near 3 counts. I'm just like, oh my gosh. By
I
the
couldn't catch
time,
my breath.
exactly, I kept yelling at my screen as I was watching this. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? And I got worked up and I got excited. And when I get excited like that, I was just like, this is a good, good, good match. Holy crap, these two brought it.
You know what the most shocking part of this match was for me, considering how deep into Hate Rena is.
Mm-hmm.
And again, all you other promotions take note. We got a clean finish.
We did.
I didn't think they could do that. If there's a faction involved, we don't get clean finishes.
No, it's always some random nonsense. But after a really hard fight between these two, Hanan would get a decisive clean victory over her sister Rena for the 3 count. And your 2026 Cinderella Tournament winner is Hanan. And she cuts a promo afterwards with Rena kind of being escorted out. From the little bit I understood, it was the promo where she thanks Rena for pushing her to get to this level, and now she is going to, get a championship match of her choosing later down the line. Honestly, this is going to go on my short list of probably some of my favorite matches for this year. And I'm going to have to revisit this one as we get closer because, my goodness, again, this is just a tournament match. I mean, there was a number one contendership, a championship match if you're choosing on the line, but like this felt like they were fighting for an actual Stardom championship.
I mean, in my mind, they did. This and the match, they gave it time. It wasn't rushed. You got to breathe. A lot of the spots felt like they came up organically. It was so well worked, and the work rate of both these women is incredible. And yeah, I would agree, Mikey. This is out of all the wrestling I've watched this year, which has admittedly been limited, much more limited than what you've watched. This has probably been my favorite.
I can't wait, and especially if Stardom always delivers quality matches, and I'm thoroughly excited because if the Cinderella tournament gave us this, I can only imagine what the remainder of the big Stardom shows going into this year are going to give us. But that's a perfectly good segue because again, all roads are now leading to All Star Grand Queendom for the Stardom roster, which is their big spring show, and we pretty much have our main event made after this match in the coming weeks because we end the Cinderella Tournament 2026 show with the tag team match. And at first I was just like, okay, I mean, I understand because you have your Stardom champion, you like the top of the red belt, our champion Miss Saya Kamitani in this match. But I was trying to figure out again when I watched this, I was trying to figure out where are we going with this? And over the last couple of weeks, now that we have something set up for All Star Grand Queendom, I'm like, it makes a lot of sense now. So we're gonna talk about it. But in this tag team match, our main event of the show, you have the team of Natsupoi and Sayaka Kurara taking on our champion, the red belt, Miss Saya Kamitani, and her stablemate Konami. This was a really, really fun match. Again, this was really, really fun to watch. I thought this was really solid tag team action from everyone. Again, Saya Kamitani is making a name for herself. She has, in 2025, she has been named Japan's like top wrestling character and wrestler in Japan, and their list contains both men and women. And Saya Kamitani made history as most women don't get that honor because this is a thing that is voted by the populace. So the fact that Saya Kamitani beat the likes of other big, men's Japanese wrestling talent that is currently wrestling in Japan last year is great. I love her look. I love her character. I love her wrestling. She is that girl. But this was a really solid tag team bout from both of them. And again, I love this because people are afraid to do this to kind of spoil it. Sayaka Kurara picks up the win for her and Natsupoi by pinning Saya Kamitani in this match. I'm like, oh, damn. Okay. I was like, here we go. Pin the champion. Let's do this.
I will admit I was fully gassed at this point in the night because every match was just overwhelmingly good. And it goes for this one as well. It was an excellent tag match. I don't think there was a bad match on this entire card. I don't feel like it should have been the main event. I understand it was your main champion in there. It definitely did its job in elevating Kurara to, set that up for the next big spring show we're hoping. And having your champion lose and lose cleanly, it's not as bad. Look, guess what? We're still here. Nothing imploded on the earth. I mean, it's going to eventually, but not related to this. It's okay to do that as long as it serves a purpose in the story. If you're just having a champion lose to lose, no, that doesn't work. But if you're doing it to elevate somebody else and create an actual contender, that's okay. It doesn't make the champion look weak. That is long-term storytelling. That is growth. That is building the rest of your roster. Again, take notes, please, you American companies.
For sure. And again, this match and everything that has transpired over the last the last 2 months and everything leading, the last 2 weeks as well at All-Star Grand Queendom for the red belt, it is going to be Sayaka Kurara versus Saya Kamitani for the red belt.
But they did confirm that?
They did confirm it, but there are some stakes to this because Saya didn't want to challenge Sayaka just to the championship match because she's already beat Sayaka before. But Sayaka, of her own accord, has added the stakes to this match. And so there is a long history of this. Sayaka is putting up the faction she is the leader of on the line. So it is title versus a faction. Should Sayaka lose this championship match, not only does she not get the red belt, but the whole entire Cosmic Angels faction disbands. So
Whoa.
there are some stakes here. Now, to add an extra layer to this is why I love professional wrestling, because long-term storytelling is crazy. Last
And we
year,
have it.
last year at All-Star Grand Queendom, Sayaka defended the title against another wrestler that was a part of the same faction as Sayaka, in Tom Nakano. And so it was a championship versus career match. Should Tom Nakano lose, she would be forced to retire from the ring. And Sayaka beat her. And so Tom was one of the co-founders of Cosmic Angels. She got retired. And so for this whole entire year, from April of 2025 to April of 2026, Sayaka is carrying all that history as she's putting Cosmic Angels on the line to take down Sayaka and get the red belt. And I was just like, this is so good. I love story layers. I was just like, this is why I love wrestling.
So we've got the Cosmic Angels versus Hate on the line here, essentially.
Yeah, so what's at stake for Saya Kamitani is, she's been the most dominant champion with this red belt, and should she lose, all that comes undone, and it doesn't look good for Hate. I mean, they're not going to disband, but it does something to the psyche to be a dominant champion and then end up losing it. But Sayaka has a lot on the line, because if she loses, Cosmic Angels are no more. But this is going to be so good. And I do love that when these stakes do happen, they stick to it. Like, we have not seen Tom Nakano wrestle in a ring ever since last year. So I was just like, Stardom really do be out here sticking to these things. So that's all going down on April 26th. So All-Star Grand Queendom is happening at the end of April. And then, of course, we will be back around that time for our next Stardom review to talk about that one. And hopefully we can get everyone back on this one. I know JVL is currently getting situated. Hopefully he'll want to be a part of All-Star Grand Queendom. And it's going to be great. But that wraps it up. That has been the Cinderella Tournament 2026 show. This was a lot of fun, and I have missed Stardom, and I am so glad that we are getting more Stardom as we go into the spring and summer season.
I was happy to take the time to watch this. There's not a whole lot of wrestling that I enjoy anymore, but this is it for me.
100%. Stardom always ends up delivering, and I'm looking forward to All-Star Grand Queendom at the end of April. But that's going to be it for us here tonight. Before we get up on out of here, just to give you a heads up as to what the remainder of the week looks like. Tomorrow evening, of course, is our AEW post show, where we will be talking about Dynamite and Collision, as we are 2 weeks away from AEW's next pay-per-view, Dynasty, which is happening in Canada. So that should be a lot of fun. We got 3 matches made, and we're going to talk about all the shenanigans that went on Dynamite and Collision this past week. Then on Thursday, it's a double header, as we are also heading to Canada, so to speak. We're going to start off with our post show for Mystery Wrestling 23, which was the debut for Mystery Wrestling in Edmonton. But also, the originator of the Michinoku driver is on the show as well. So it's just like, oh, that should be interesting. So that is the first show on Thursday. And then the Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling folks will also be here later on that evening to talk about Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's first event of the year, Uprising, crowned a new MLP men's champion. It was some great action from Canada. And all that goes down on Thursday. On Friday, the TNA folks
And
will
then also
be
on Thursday, we're going to start reviewing the Maple Leafs and the Senators and the Oilers games because we're just rounding out Canada tonight reviewing hockey too.
might as well. Yeah, so if you're a big hockey fan, you should come and join us on Thursday. But on Friday, the TNA folks will be here to be reviewing TNA Sacrifice. So this is the most recent pay-per-view that happened last week. We're going to break everything down. And then we are gearing up towards TNA Rebellion coming in April. So the next big 4 pay-per-view for TNA is almost upon us. So that's going to be fun. And then Saturday is a doubleheader. In the morning, we'll be covering MLP and ROH's Global Wars Canada, in which we had Ring of Honor stars take on Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling and Canadian wrestling talent, which is a lot of fun to see. And then later on in the evening, the NXT crew will be doing a live watch along for NXT Stand and Deliver, which is NXT's big show of the year. We're heading into Mania season and just all the independent wrestling shows that are happening. Gear up. It's going to be crazy. But that's it for us tonight. So me and Jesse are going to get up on out of here. But from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you tomorrow for AEW. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.